guys, I'm Jimmy Tips, and in today's tutorial I will be showing you how to write a Google Sheet macro from start to finish using Google Apps Script. Now this video is perfect for you if you are a user of Google Sheet, of Excel, and maybe you have some knowledge of VBA and Excel macros, but you have zero knowledge of Google Apps Script and you want to get started. Today we'll be learning on how to build this macro from scratch, including how to set up script files, how to debug along the way, how to search within the official Google Apps Script documentation, etc. And by the way, if you want to get the complete source code or check for newer versions of this macro or get some FYI information, please read the video descriptions. So first off, I'm going to explain the final output we want to create today. This is the Google Sheet file, and I have this range right here. I want to export this range to a specific folder called exported subtitle files, and I want each of the column here to be a separate file with the first row of each column being the file name and the remaining rows being the content of each of the file. Okay, so this macro should allow me to select some range and then click on this macros tab, click on this random prompt that I have created here. The script should run. The script would ask me what is the folder name where you want to export your files. I'm going to put it in exported subtitle files and click OK. Now the script is going to ask me what is the file extension you want to use. I'm going to go ahead and press SRT for subtitle files, and I'm going to click OK. And inside my destination folder, you're going to be seeing that the files will generate themselves right here. And I'm going to press wait a little bit. It should have about 4 files. If I click on each of the file, you will see that the content is exactly as I have specified from my selected range. This is the French one, so exactly as I wanted. Now when I go back to Google Sheet, there's a nice goodbye message, export completed, your files are saved to this folder, and I can copy this text and go out there and just verify my content. So that's the output that we want to produce today. So when you're in Google Sheet, if you want to start a macro, otherwise known as Google Apps Script, you're going to go to Extensions, Apps Script right here, and it's going to open up a new tab for you. And the URL of this tab is going to be script.google.com. So actually, this is an entire project, but you don't even have to go there via Extensions tab. Next time you can go directly to script.google.com. And it's another Google service. You are going to be seeing all of the scripts that you have made. Of course, I have made some scripts before, but this is the one that we just opened. It's called Untitled Project. So let's open that script. I'm going to go ahead and rename this something like export range to folder. Okay. So yes, that's very, very nice. Now we're inside here, and we have this panel over here. It shows all of the files that we have. This default standard file is called code.js. I'm going to click this 3 dot, and I'm just going to rename it something like export range to folder, because that is the name of my of my function. Okay. And next up, I'm going to show you how to start writing here. Now we're going to be writing our function in here, our macro. Let's rename this export file to export range to folders. Okay, and that should get us started. And actually, the convention in Google Apps Script and JavaScript is that when you write functions, the first letter should be in small, not capitalized, just normal letters, and then all of the others are camel case. So range, actually this can be something like 2 as well. So this is the convention in JavaScript. You don't have to do it, but it's good to do it this way. And JavaScript or Google Apps Script is case sensitive, so be careful what kind of variables or function names that you have made, and make sure you stick to it as you go through the process. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. I have these files already made, and next up I'm just going to work inside this this folder, excuse me, this function. Now Google Apps Script is a little bit different from Excel VBA in that it's a little bit difficult to to debug directly from Excel. Excuse me, from Google Sheets. So in Excel, you can write a VBA, you can run it, and it can show you results directly onto your Excel interface. But in Google Apps Script, it's very, very difficult to do so. So I'm gonna break this video into two parts. The first part, we're going to be working and testing inside Google Script only, not Google Sheet. And we will gonna have some nice results, and after that we will stick it or integrate it back to the Google Sheet file. By the way, this is the Google Sheet file here, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so now when I'm inside this, let me remove this S here. When I'm inside this function, the first thing I'm going to do is I need to get some static range from Google Drive. Okay, because we want we cannot get currently active range as of now because we're not in Google Sheet just yet. So we're going to go ahead and start to write something. So we're going to declare a new variable called active sheet. I'm going to keep the A non-capitalized and the S capitalized as per the convention of JavaScript and also of Google Sheet. And I'm going to call the class called spreadsheet app. You don't have to worry about what that is. And when you press dot, Google Sheet shows you all of these suggestions. Okay, the method we need for spreadsheet app is going to be get active, so that it's just going to get you the currently active file, Google Sheet file, and then you're going to need to have get sheet by name. Okay, we're going to be getting the sheet that is called subs, and that's it. And you're going to close each phrase or each statement in JavaScript with this semicolon. It is not required, but it's good practice to do so. And the next thing we will need is also get the active range. Okay, and because we cannot call the active range right now, we're gonna just hard code it. Okay, and the range that I need is from A1 to B3. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to A1, excuse me, I'm gonna open this bracket, A1 to B3. Alright. And the last thing I'm gonna need is the destination folder. I'm gonna hard code it as well. So for brevity's sake, I'm just gonna copy paste the code. You can see already how each of this is set up like this. So I'm just gonna copy paste the code right here. Destination folder is I'm gonna call the drive app class. And the method is get folders by name, and I want to get the folder that is called export to subtitle files. Now this folder is located right here. I already have this folder set up, so I'm gonna get all of the folders that have this name and grab the next one in line. Fortunately, I only have one inside my Google Drive, so it's gonna go by relatively quickly. And by the way, about this folder, it doesn't have to be your own folder. It can be somebody shared a folder with you, but as long as you get right access to this folder, you're good to use it in this macro. Okay, so let's make sure that this is gonna run right. So I'm gonna press run here, otherwise I'm gonna press Ctrl R on my keyboard. Okay, it's gonna run, and let's see if it works. Okay, attempt to execute my function was deleted. Okay, we have to press Ctrl S to save it because it was not recognizing that you have a new function. So let's Ctrl R again. It says you give this project permission, and of course I say yes. You have to just do this once. Click on advanced here and then go to export range to folder and save. So basically you're gonna be allowing Google's Apps Script access into your databases, files and folders and stuff. Okay, we have the first error down here. Spreadsheet app get active, get sheet by name is not, and I think I know why. This name should be, and once again, JavaScript is is case sensitive, so you have to be very, very careful. Let's try to run that again, and it looks like we are successful. Okay, so that's good. You know, we got the first thing clear out. So now the next step is let's kind of, you know, output some values to make sure we're getting the right things. Okay, so I'm gonna write this command right here, which is called, but I'm gonna indent 2 space because everything under here should be indented 2 space with relation to function. So we are in the next bullet level. I'm gonna write longer.log active sheet, which is the variable I have above get name, and I'm gonna open close bracket. Okay, so basically what it does is, you know, grab me the variable called active sheet and get its name and log it out for me. Okay, and similarly I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna press like this, log active range get value. Okay, and let's run that again and let's see what the system returns to us. Okay, okay, so it looks like we get the get name as logger, you know, the sheet's name is subs, which is correct, and get value is subtitles.en.us. By the way, there are 2 methods you can use here. One is get value, the other one is get value. So it's gonna show that to you here. If I press this, you can get a lot of suggestion. Get values. Okay. What is the difference? So get value will get you the top left value in the array, but get values will return all of the values into the array. So in this case, I just want to confirm that, you know, I'm indeed grabbing this area here. So I just need to know what is the top left value. By the way, if you want to understand more about what kind of suggestions and tips you can get, so if you're inside this 2 brackets, you can go ahead and press Control Space. Okay, sorry, not inside this bracket. Anywhere after the dots, you can press Control Space, and it's going to show you all of the methods you can use with, you know, this active range. And you can scroll down and you can change it to something else. Let's not do that. And when you're inside this bracket, you can do Control Shift Space, and it's gonna give you a tooltip. It's gonna explain, you know, what is get value, how do you run it, how many parameters does this function or this method take, you know, and that's gonna really help you out. Another way that you can kind of get more information is go to the website developers.google.com/appscripts/drive app, and you can you can go through and start looking at the different things. So right now I'm looking at the class drive app, and that class drive app has a lot of let me make this smaller, has a lot of methods. So you see all of these methods on this left side here, and I can just check any methods to see if it's, you know, how it's used, did it type it correctly, did I get the parameters correctly, and so forth. Okay, so we're good to go here. We have successfully designated several variables: the active sheet, the active range, and the destination folder. Okay. Next up, I'm gonna get the file names from the top row right here. I want to grab this to be the file name. So the statement I'm gonna use is this one right here. Okay. I can declare a new variable called num of columns. Okay, by the way, this is going to show you that, okay, that variable hasn't been used at all in this function, so you want to use it. So that's just kind of a reminder, we don't have to worry about that, we will use it momentarily. Okay, so this variable is going to be set as the active range. We're going to be getting the last column. Okay, this method, what does it do exactly? Basically, it returns the end column position. So I want to grab what is the end column position. In this case, it's going to be 4, the 4th column, and I'm going to subtract it from the 1st column position and then plus 1. That's going to give me the number of columns I have in this range. Okay, so 4 subtract, well, 1 is going to be 3 plus 1 is going to be 4. And how do I get the 1st column's position? I'm going to offset this active range. I'm going to use an offset formula here, and what does it do exactly? This is very similar to the offset function in Excel. where you will take 4 variables. Okay, you would say I offset by how many row, how many column, and after I offset, what is the length and width? Excuse me, not length. What is the height and width of the the resulting range I want? So I want to grab the just the first cell, so not offsetting anything, and I just want it to be a 1 by 1 cell or range. So I want to get the column of that, and that's it. So +1, so that should work. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to store the file names. I'm going to type file names, so I'll create a new variable called file names, and I get the active range. I will offset it by just nothing, okay? But I will keep the first row only, and I will keep as many columns as there are number of calls, basically, okay? And then I'm just gonna grab get values of these file names. All right, so we're good. By the way, we don't really need these logger logs anymore, so I'm going to do Control / on my computer. That's gonna comment them out. I can Control / again to comment them back, to uncomment them back. So this is a nice keyboard shortcut you can remember. Okay. Now the next step is I'm going to okay, what do I do now? I have the file names already. Okay, I'm gonna create a loop that will store each column to the separate file. So we're going to be getting into the main crux rather, the main center of our exercise today. And I'm going to be using a for loop, and it's very similar to the for loop in VBA, another programming language. I'm going to type, I have the code right here. So I'm going to do for variable I from 0 until number of calls, so no longer never higher than than number of calls, and just go one at a time. Okay. By the way, I will need to have a closing parentheses. Okay. And what do I do here? For each column, the first thing is I'm going to count how many rows of content or of data I will have. Okay. And the command for that is going to be simply I create number of rows, and I do a similar trick as in the number of calls situation. I get the last row, and then I will subtract the first row, and I'm gonna add 1. However, there's one key difference here, is that I will offset it by 1 row. Essentially, I will ignore this row. I'm just gonna get the position of the last row, which is 3. I'm gonna get the position of the first row, which is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So the number of rows I have for the data that I want to input inside the files that I export is gonna be just 2 rows. Okay. Now the next thing is I need to get the data from all of those rows. Okay. I have the number of rows already. So I'm going to declare a new variable called file content, okay? And it's basically from the active range, I will offset by what here. So basically, I will offset by 1, and I here, that is the number of column, and I will go for as many rows as I have in number of rows. And I will just go for only 1 column. So basically, it's gonna grab me this area here in the first iteration, and when it's gonna be in the second iteration, it's gonna grab me all of the data here, here, and here. Okay. So for each iteration in this for loop, I'm gonna get myself an array, a one-dimensional array that stores all of the data in each of these rows, each of these cells, sorry. Okay, now the next thing is I'm gonna, once I get these data, I will need to kind of append them together to make a text file. Okay, there's a special statement for this, and don't ask me how I got it. Google basically, and then just understanding how it works, and then just applying it to my method. So we're gonna declare a new variable called text, and it's gonna be file content.map function something something. You can just go ahead and copy this right on the screen, and basically what this one does is that it will it will grab all of the content or file content and will join them together. But if there is a if each of the cell is different in the column, it's gonna treat it as a tab. T here is a tab. And if it's a next cell or next row, it's gonna treat it as a next line. Okay, so basically only this part is really relevant in our case, because every time we go to a new row, Google Apps Script is just gonna go to the new line, which is fine. We don't have any columns. We only have a single column in each of file content. So there's not gonna be any scenario where we have a tab at all. So we don't have to worry about that. So that is gonna be the code that we have here. And I think we're ready to run some tests. So let's close this for loop here. And once again, I'm just gonna do a log, and it's gonna be text. So let's run that and make sure that it's gonna be just correct. Execution start, reference error, active range is not defined. So let's take a look at what happens here. Active range is not defined on line 9. So once again, capital case is not being treated correctly here. These variables should be active range. By the way, if you are looking at a variable, you just hover or click onto a variable, it's going to show you all of the instances that variable is being used. So it's very, very useful here. So let's run this again. I'll run here or Control R on your keyboard. And we won't have the log anymore, but we will have the log at the end. Okay, it's showing something inside here. So that seems reasonable to me. So let's move on to the next step. Now, I have declared a for loop that runs through a lot of time. And of course I only return it once at the end. I didn't do a log every single time. So let me I guess I can do this. We don't really need these logs anymore. Okay. Let's now write to the destination folder, and we have to also check our output files. So what is that exactly? So this is the command that I'm going to be using here. Okay. So with the destination folder, which I have declared up here, I'm going to create a file with the file name from the array that I have created up here. Okay, I'm just going to grab the 0th entry, so basically the first row, and the column that I need from whatever each of the each of the column here. And excuse me, this should be inside the loop as well. Okay, so for every iteration, I'm gonna create a file inside this folder. Okay, so I think this is a basic structure for the macro that is quite good, but we're gonna add a tiny bit of flavor. So inside this folder, imagine you have to export these files a lot, right? So there's gonna be some files already in there. So if you don't delete those files, then the macro will fail. So let's add in a bit of code that tells Google Apps Script to delete any existing files if they are found. So the code for that, I'm just gonna do a quick and easy copy and paste because I already have it, and let's have it before the actual writing line. It's gonna be an if statement. Okay, so if inside the destination folder, I will check for the file name that I got from the file name here, the first row in my range, and it contains the extension .srt. This is the extension for subtitle files. Okay, We will customize it in just a little bit, so but for now let's just keep it like this. If that file exists, then set it to trash, basically delete it. Okay, so that is the situation here. And let me make this a little bit out here because it's inside of the for loop. Okay, I think we're good to go. And okay, yep. All right, so let's go ahead and test this. Okay, so by the way, oh, okay, there is something wrong. So it looks like this quotation mark is weird quotation mark, so I think that should be okay. All right, so at this point in time, I think we're kind of done with the basis of the macro here. Let's run it, and let's see that the files are going to be exported. It's going to ask you for permission once again. Review permissions. Click my name or your name, advance, and go to the macro and let it run. Allow. Okay. While it's running, you can actually go and check out this folder, exported subtitle files, and you're gonna see them, being generated here. There should be 4 files, so you can refresh. Yeah, all of the files are here. Let's take a look at the content. So, yeah, it looks fine. This is the English file. Looks great. The French file is looking great as well, and I don't want to check the others. So, all of this is very, very good for now. So we're completed. Hooray, successfully, hooray, yay. We have written a nice standalone macro inside Google Apps Script. Now we need to integrate it with Google Sheet because it's working fine in here, but it's not running inside Google Sheet correctly, right? It's not integrated at all. So let's make ourselves a new script file. Click on this plus icon and choose script, and I'm just gonna call it etc. Okay. Call it etc as well, like this, yeah. All right, and I'm gonna grab the active range variable declaration from here. I'm gonna store it here just for safekeeping. Okay, and I'm gonna write myself a new declaration, and that declaration is basically var variable active range from active sheet get active range. Once again, Control-Shift-Space, and it shows you how to use this get active range method. Returns the selected range in the active sheet. Okay, so very, very nice. Okay, and now let's connect it to Google Sheets. So let's go ahead and create another script file, and I'm gonna call it display menus. I always like to do so, and just basically copy this code here. Delete everything. Basically, function unopened. I'm gonna just create items inside the menu. The menu is called macros, and I'm gonna link an item to the export range to folder macro or function here, and the text I'm gonna display to the user is export selected range to specified G drive folder. Okay, Control S to save. And now we're ready to test it inside Google Sheet. Now we need to reload Google Sheet, okay? Because this unopened, it's only going to, oh, my script file disappeared. Let's go back and grab my script file. Here, right here. This unopened function is only gonna run the first time Google Sheet is opening. So I just did that, and you can see it added a new menu item on the top here. Click on that, export selected range to specified drive folder. But before that, I need to select some range. So I'm gonna select this. Okay. And by the way, inside this folder, I'm gonna delete all this stuff just to make sure that I'm running it correctly. And then macros, export this selected range to folder, running script, and if everything goes right, yep, the content is here. So you can verify the content of the files. Things look very nice. Once again, I'm going to delete them just to get ready for the next step. So the basics of the macro is done. We can stop the video now, but I'm just going to show you a few more nice tricks, right? Some nice extra features. The first feature is that I want to guide my users. I'm gonna ask the user to input the folder name, where they want these files to be exported, and I'm gonna ask the user to input also the file extension, because sometimes you want to export TXT files, sometimes I don't know, it's .dat file, SRT files, whatever, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's go back inside our script.google.com, go back to export range folder, and at the beginning I'm going to ask the user for a nice prompt. I'm just going to copy and paste the code. It's a bit lengthy code, but you please bear with me. It's basically going to tell him grab the get UI and create a new variable called response, and that is going to be coming from a prompt. This macro will export the currently selected range, show destination Google Drive folder, type the full name of the folder where you want the files to be exported to, like exported subtitle files without brackets, and press OK. The folder must already exist. It can be your own or somebody else's. By the way, this is an escape character. I want to put the single quotation mark here, but to do so I need to escape it. Otherwise, Google Apps Script is going to get confused. But you must have right access to it. And then I want to add 2 carriage returns, basically to go to the next paragraph. Okay. The first row of the selected range must contain 10 file names, while the remaining rows must be the content of the files. Each column will export to a separate file with each new cell's content on a new line. Press cancel if you want to quit. So if the user want to quit now because he or she didn't select the active range, they can do so. So that's nice. Okay, if the selected button is cancel, we will press return. This is a command that will quit your macro. So basically break it and exit whatever you're doing. And go back to the top level function, but we don't have any top level function, so it's gonna quit the script entirely. Else we will continue, basically. Okay, very standard. And then the second thing, the second response I'm gonna get is also down here. Variable response 2 is basically file extension, write the extension of files you want to export to, like SRT or TXT without the dot, press OK, and I get the response too. Okay, so I grab myself these 2 new variables, and now I will have to replace them inside my script. So first is the destination folder. You see over here right now the destination folder is saying get folder by name. I'm going to replace it with response 1. Okay, get response text, and then open close bracket. Okay, that should be good. And then file extension. Okay, I'm gonna first of all declare a new variable called, I typed this not correctly. Okay, I'm gonna type myself a new variable called extension, file extension, and it's gonna get the response text from response 2. Okay, and now I'm gonna replace all of the instances that I have of the SRT here. So I'm gonna do Control H. Okay, and actually it's gonna be a little bit more complicated than just find and replace. I'm gonna press I'm gonna remove this, just keep the dot, and then file extension. So we're very nicely to go here. So similarly, I will do this like that. That looks great. Let's go ahead and run this to check. Control R. Okay, cannot call spreadsheet app get GUI. Okay, I think I know why. Let's close this. I need to run this inside Google Sheet. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Google Sheet, and I don't have to reload the file anymore because the moment I click this, it will always link to this macro. I just need to click Control S to save it here. And it's gonna link automatically. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, run the script, export it. Okay, perfect. And what is the the name of the folder you want to export to, copy paste, click OK. And then what is the file extension? File extension is SRT. Let's try something else. Let's do TXT. Okay. And it's gonna run. And okay, the number of rows in the range must be at least 1. Okay, I understand why, because I didn't select the right range. Okay. So I need to select all of these guys and let me make sure that inside my folder I have nothing. Okay, it's empty. Just to make sure that I actually did some work when it's exported. I know it's a new file. Of course, in a real life scenario, you can leave some files here. It's fine. Google Sheet is gonna delete your existing file before putting in a new file. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that again. Macro export selected range. Let's go ahead and do this and put in .txt without the dot. And let's just watch the magic happen. You can press F5 to show it a little bit faster. Okay, everything is looking very nice. Alright, now is this the end? There's one more nice cherry on the cake I want to show you. It's up to you to do this kind of things if you want to really be a perfectionist like I am. So after you finish the job, you need to announce to your user that the job is finished, and you will show the user where's the folder that these files are stored to, because they probably don't have that folder at hand. So you are going to do 2 commands. The first command is this one right here. Create new variable called destination folder URL, and you're gonna grab it from the destination folder's get ID. Okay, and what is get ID? Get the ID of the folder. Very simple. Okay, I'm gonna append it to the end of this long URL here. Fortunately, that is how Google Drive folders are structured. By the way, ignore this UO. It just means that there's several users logged into this Chrome session right now, and it's designating the first user, so you can ignore that. Okay, the second command is gonna be this one here, and it basically it's going to alert the user export is completed, your files are saved to blah blah blah. Okay, so that's it. Let's run it one more time, just make sure that it works. I'm gonna go back here. I can keep these files, I can delete them. Let's go ahead and delete them. Delete even that one. Okay, go back here, select some range, macros, make sure I save this file, this macro here. Go back here, macros, export selected range. Let's go ahead and copy these guys here, and let's export as SRT file. Click OK. It's gonna run, bam, 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 I think. And then at the end, it should give me a nice, goodbye message. Export completed, your files are saved to. So now I can go ahead and, copy this, and I'm just gonna, verify. Control T, Control V, and the folder is, is there. So basically, that's a nice touch that you can give to your user. So I guess that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. As I have mentioned, there are a lot of useful information in the video description, the source code. I explain how to get it, some reference materials, documentations, useful links, etc. So I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye-bye.